And as long as we have the clap, I'll be able to sync it up later.
Well, you know, they have treatments for that, Dan.
Yeah.
You can speak for yourself. But...
What the fuck was that?
The clap.
That was a motorcycle. Yeah, that was it. That was the clap.
Dan.
Trey.
I've got a confession.
You've got another confession to make?
I've got another confession to make.
That you're no fool?
Okay.
It's the Foo Fighters, man.
I know. It's reference. Like, I was gonna say that I have a weeb problem because I've been playing a whole lot of weeb shit recently.
Oh, I was gonna say, I feel like this is getting kind of personal between the two of you. Do you want me to leave?
No,
Yes.
Tyler, you're part of this now.
No, actually, Tyler, I want you to listen.
Okay.
I want you to listen close.
Mm-hmm.
I'm listening.
But yeah, I've been playing a lot of weeb shit, and I'm getting that feeling that I need to back off. I need to like grow a beard and shave it off and move to somewhere else.
So, I was gonna say, is this part of the new segment we're calling Trey's Steam Bath? Tyler, play the music.
Trey's Steam Bath. Yeah, music.
Music, yeah.
Music.
That was a good ditty we just heard.
Ooh, yeah, because Steamy.
Yeah, Steamy. Ooh. Is that what the segment's
This is going to be
be?
some sexy saxophone.
It's going to be a sensual sensation.
Yeah.
For your auditory... Yeah. Never mind. Fuck it.
Yeah, there it is.
I've been playing... So I'm continuing my romp through my Steam list. That's been my... I didn't realize we'd be doing the segment so early, but I'm okay with it. I'm still in the A's, and apparently A stands for anime.
Yeah.
Oh.
But like not in like the way that they have anime in the title. It's just all the anime games start with A, I guess. So I've played a few of them. A few of them I already like played some of before. Specifically, there's a visual novel. The first one is called Analog: A Hate Story. It's a Korean visual novel. Really short. They only you can beat it in like a one sitting. But that one's interesting. That one, I remember I played it in high school originally, and it was a lot. I remember it being a lot less like blatantly sexist, and I guess that was just the times, I suppose.
Yeah, I was gonna say since it's a visual novel, is it just like your bog standard visual novel, or what's its gimmick?
Okay,
what's its
it's actually got a really interesting gimmick. You are basically you're not a mercenary, you're like a freelance like tech guy. You work for this like organization that finds derelict spaceships and basically unearths their AI to sell them back, essentially.
Yeah.
And so you're trying to figure out what happened to this like Korean vessel that was lost in space, and all the people on it died. And you're basically the story, and this is actually the coolest part about it, is you're trying to figure out why everyone's dead. And so you unearth this AI, and the cool thing about that is that the AI, there's two of them, and they're both unreliable. So like you have to kind of pick apart the story because they're not going to be giving you all the information.
Yeah.
And like the kind of story that unfolds is like this really sick, like it's basically, it turns into like a feudal like Japan, quote unquote. It's Korean, but like they get lost in space and they have to like basically just live out there for like, I don't know, like 50 years or something, just kind of out in space. They grow their own stuff, and like the inside of their spaceship, they start turning it into this like feudal society where like women are treated like garbage, and they don't even get names or anything, and they just kind of like live out there, and then the AIs are like seen as deities.
Huh.
And there's like a weird little microcosm. It's actually a really interesting setup, especially when you start reading and it tells you none of that. You don't even know like why you're there. You're just kind of like, huh, why am I reading this like old timey manuscript? Oh wait, this was happening on the space station. What's going on?
Huh.
Like enough time passes where like everybody just kind of forgets what like technology even is, and then like they all start dying out due to like inbreeding and stuff. And it's like it's really interesting. So I guess it's probably more than 50 years, but it's
hill people.
Yeah. They turn into like Korean hill people. But like I think the most interesting part is like the two AI, just because like they're just so diametrically opposed. One is basically like your bog standard like anime schoolgirl archetype. She's like the nerdy schoolgirl. The other one is problematic. I'll say she's one of the she's an AI that kind of has the opinion that women should be subservient, and that's like her whole thing. And that made me really uncomfortable. Yeah. I was like, oh yeah, that's where I started having issues, because like the idea that like the society starts becoming really sexist is like not an inherently bad idea, because it's like, maybe that would happen. We don't know. Like, I'm not like, I can't say that wouldn't happen, but like the idea that one of the protagonists is just like so like in your face about it.
Yeah,
and I say protagonist, but like you can side with either one of them. They're opposed to each other, so like I always side with the not that one.
Yeah, the one that's
yeah.
Yeah, and like they're not as shallow as she initially appears. Like, she has reasons for the things she wants, but I was like, I think her reasons are questionable. I don't know. I'm not about that. But yeah, it's if you can get it on sale, it is interesting. Like, if you enjoy like really out there stories, I think you could really find something to like about it. The next game I played, and I think this one, Tyler, have you played this one? Antichamber,
I believe I have briefly. It's the one where there's just like a lot of puzzles and they're kind of weird.
Yeah, they don't give you a whole lot of explanation. It's really like, it's perception bending a lot, like where you're like the directions you're facing and like the way you're walking like really
matter.
Alters.
Yeah, it's like one of those things where like you'll walk down a hallway and then you'll walk back down and be in a different room than when you started.
Yeah, like that happens a lot. Like, yeah, you start walking down a corridor, you turn around, you're not where you came from.
Yeah.
Or like you'll start jumping and you'll end up like at the bottom of the floor you were just on and stuff like that. I got about like 70% of the game. It's done. It's not a long game. I got a lot of the puzzles done.
Yeah.
I will say it is very interesting. If you enjoy Portal, it's very reminiscent of Portal without the comedy and just like it's a lot weirder.
If I remember correctly, it doesn't really have a lot of story. It's just kind of you're there.
No, as far as I can tell, there isn't a story. Like,
yeah,
it's just puzzles. You're just trying to map out this like area. They have like these little hints that give you little pictures, and you can fill out this big old like table of pictures, and that's basically like your achievement.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing is I didn't really feel like there was anything I was working towards in that game.
That's the main thing. There's not a lot of context for what you're doing, unlike like say Portal. And like, not saying puzzle games have to have context, but like I think especially for a first person puzzle game, I think you need to. It's like if you're in first person, you kind of expected it to be grounded in reality in some way. Like, it doesn't have to be like a strong narrative, but like at least give me something. It literally just throws you into a room and just says go.
Yeah, and I did kind of like some of the puzzle aspects of the game and the way it just kind of bent the world around you, and I thought that was pretty cool.
I thought there was some puzzle ways to solve puzzles that kind of made you feel clever. I thought that was pretty cool. I always like it when puzzle games like make you feel like you like outsmarted the game in some way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I just wish there was some kind of either, because I feel like a lot of good puzzle games, they either have this is what you're working towards in this level, or this is a general goal or something. Like you're trying to reach a room or a something, just some sort of
like give me a goal, like
you kind of know the
maybe
direction
split
you're
it
going
up into levels or something. I'm with you there. I'm kind of
like I enjoyed the concept of the game and I put a little bit of time into it, but it just couldn't keep me interested because I wasn't really sure where anything was
I started
going.
the game before, and if I hadn't been doing it for these lists, I probably would have stopped again before. Like, I got pretty far this time, just because I was like, I'm gonna play this for a few hours. I'm gonna make myself play it for a few hours. But like if you can get it on sale and you like puzzle games, I think it's a worthwhile investment. Like, if you can get it for $5 or less, I'd say you'll get your money's worth out of it. and you like puzzle games. I guess that's a
Oh, yeah.
given. If you don't like puzzle games and you're picking it up, then I don't know what to tell you, boss. You're really good. You're really goofed this time. All right, last game on the list, and this is another Weeb game, and it confused the hell out of me. And I don't know if there's like other games in the series or like an anime or something that goes along with it, but it's called Astabreed. It's a bullet hell. It's a shmup. You're in a mecha and you have like a AI and you're like just like blowing up a bunch of shit. That game made my hands hurt. Like I beat the game because it's like really short. Like it's 6 chapters. It's not really that hard. It's actually really easy for a shmup. Mostly because like there's a lot of auto aiming and like your sword deflects projectiles except for like one kind of projectile. So I didn't even bother shooting most of the time. I would just like press the auto aim button and just slash over and over again constantly while like hundreds of things are on screen, and I just kind of was like, I don't know what's even happening right now. This is just a fucking color maze.
Yeah. No, I think it's just... So I did some quick looking on the game. It's from a company that has developed 4 games.
I don't know I don't know when this showed up in my library. I'm going to be honest. I don't remember picking this up at all. It's an entertaining, like, hour and a half experience. Like, it's just really weird. You expect shmup games, like, you kind of expect a certain level of difficulty from those games.
Mm-hmm.
And I really wasn't getting that from this. Like, it's just like a complete nutso off the wall, like crazy romp through space, just blowing up shit. One of your little android companion has a sister who's going crazy. I don't know. The story was nonsense. It made no sense to me. That's why I was like, is there more to this? Yeah, is there more to this like world? Because I watched the prologue chapter and I still have no idea what I'm doing. I'm just completely, and also it's Japanese only, and they'll be talking mid-fight and you literally can't see the dialogue because there's so many projectiles on screen. This is like
game design.
Yeah, it's like, this is maybe the story. I mean, the story doesn't matter. It really doesn't. You're not playing it for the story.
A common thing under like certain types of games. Like I noticed that's a very common thing also in the like Warriors type games.
Yeah,
where there's constant action. You constantly have to run to the next point and everything, but all these characters are having like dialogue and everything.
Yeah,
between them. Like, I don't have time to read it.
There's no way you're reading that shit. Like if you have it in non-English, you'll basically miss the entire everything you're talking about. There's no way you're just like, oh, I can read that mid like 18 combo.
Yeah, and even like if they put it in English, sometimes they just stereo mix or layer their audio so shittily you're just getting like combat sounds on top of, oh, we need to get to the next point, you have dishonored my family, like weapons hitting each other.
No, this game has that problem a lot. Like the music and the sound effects get so loud, like if I had somehow been able to understand what they were saying, I wouldn't have. There's a lot of times I just wouldn't hear it unless it was a cutscene.
Yeah.
So this game I have a hard time recommending. I honestly don't know if there's a amount of money that would make this worth it for how short an experience it is and for how
$1.
If you get it for $1, probably like you can beat it in one sitting. It's not hard at all. It's like an arcade game basically, except for it's not hard, which really confused. Like if it had been more difficult, I think I would have recommended it honestly, just because like I barely felt like I was playing the game. I felt like I was just kind of like going through a auto scroller almost.
Overall, doesn't sound like. Yeah, I can't even remember what the name of it was. It started with an A.
Astabreed is not.
Astabreed.
Yeah, it's not really worth your time. I'll be honest. But so that was my Steamy surprise. Okay, that's not the name of it. Wait, what was it?
Trey Steam Bath.
There we go. Steam Bath. Okay, nope. That's the name.
Oh boy.
Goodness.
But yeah, those are my games. Honestly, a pretty weak showing. I think next week though I've got some pretty fun ones, so you have to keep in mind. Yeah, I'll keep it. I have Audio Surf 1 and 2. Actually, wait, they're all fucking audio games. All right, so it's a musical theme next time.
Yeah.
Which one reigns supreme?
Yeah, but yeah. Tyler, what have you been up to this week?
This week, I have been up to mainly trying out a new game called. Well, I guess it's not that new. They Are Billions.
Oh yeah, the full release just came out, right?
They finally released a campaign
Oh,
for the
okay,
game.
yeah, all right, that's what it was.
I have not played the game before now, so the campaign is my first introduction to the game, and I can see where they have some problems with it.
Is it as hard as people say it is?
It's definitely difficult. I think the main thing is that it is a little confusing for some of the things.
Okay.
For example, you've got all sorts of different types of like research points, and then points you spend on your hero, and then you've got empire points, and then there's score, which I don't think really matters for anything except for just to try to better yourself, I guess.
I'm already confused.
Yep.
It just sounds like a game where they pile system on you.
You already.
Yep. The main thing I don't really get is the empire points system. It seems like you get them throughout missions, and then you spend them on defense missions, where you have a tower, and you need to clear the road to the next mission out of the horde of zombies that are there. Oh, by the way, I should probably explain. They Are Billions takes place in some steampunk future where I guess humanity grew to a population of, I think one of the articles in the game said like 90 billion, which is utterly insane because the Earth...
Yeah, 90 billion. That's a... What?
Yeah, the Earth, I think, if we use all, like, ground on the Earth, would only support somewhere around 9-ish billion from estimates.
Like, I feel like we would have run out of resources long before that point, but whatever, it's steampunk universe. Maybe they have a bigger planet than we do.
I guess so. A planet that is, like, 10 times bigger.
Yeah, several times larger or more plentiful than the one we live on.
Yeah, and then there's like some empire that survived by like building up in the crater of a mountain and just defending off against the hordes of zombies that now...
Billions of zombies that now infect the planet. So yeah, They Are Billions is of course the zombie horde. And you are trying to lead the efforts in the campaign, at least, to spread out and start repopulating parts of the planet. The weird thing is they somehow already have a train infrastructure in place in all these places. So a train always comes by and like drops people off and resources off as you're playing. I'm not really sure how they got that in place before you got there, because there's zombies everywhere. Yeah. Was it just like there before the zombie apocalypse happened, maybe?
I guess. Yeah, but the fact that then it's still usable after all this time, I don't know.
Sure enough.
Story is whatever, but the missions themselves are fun. It's the first real-time strategy game I've played in quite a while, which is good. I mean, the other main real-time strategy game that's come out recently has been Dungeons 3, and then we haven't really seen much in that genre in a while.
Yeah, I mean, the aesthetically, it kind of reminds me of StarCraft, like Brood War a little bit, like the way that models move and stuff.
Yeah, well, I think it's all 3D modeled, but it has a 2D aesthetic to it.
Yeah, like I think just the animations really remind me of like Brood War.
Yeah, the animations all strangely feel 2D, but when you look at them, they definitely, like the capes billowing and stuff, all definitely seem 3D. So either they just pre-rendered out 3D models in sprite sheets, or they are all 3D in the game. But yeah, the art style is actually beautiful for the game. I really like it. They went with the kind of semi-realistic hand-painted, but it's got a smoother hand-painted look to it. Almost a little more like blending together, almost a little more watercolory, I guess.
Yeah, it's not a bad looking game. I've just heard it's kind, at least in the original when it first came into early access, it was really RNG heavy, like where you what resources
maybe
were
for
available
the survival
to
mode. Yeah. The campaigns, because they're all
pre-made,
and they're all
they're all made for you to beat them, I'd imagine.
Levels. They are difficult still. And the biggest issue I have with the game is that it feels like one little mistake can just cause you to lose the level.
Ooh,
like especially because you don't have a lot of building
Yeah.
space, and a lot of the levels are get your colony population up to a certain point. And usually that is like hundreds of colonists, which means you need housing for all of them. The housing takes up a ton of space. Well, if one zombie sneaks up, he hits one of your tents like 3 times, and then all of a sudden that tent becomes infected, spouts out like 3 more zombies who all hit the tents around that, and then suddenly within like 5 seconds your entire town is just dead. So you
Yeah,
have to
that
be
seems a little-
very, very careful.
Very punishing. How long does a session usually last? Like, is it something
One of
where
the
like you're
missions-
only spending like 15 minutes in, so like if you lose super quick, it doesn't matter, or you're like, yeah, I've spent 2 hours making the settlement, one zombie got in, and now I lost all that progress. I'm gonna go throw my computer out a window.
Maybe for the survival mode it's that way. I haven't played that. But for the campaign, I would say for the most part the missions range anywhere from 20 to an hour, 20 minutes to an hour. So not too long. And usually by the time I reach a certain point, I have enough of a defensive stronghold or foothold that I don't need to worry quite as much.
Okay, that's not so bad then.
Ultimately, yeah, usually if you're going to lose relatively early on. However, it really sucks if you don't.
Yeah, I could just imagine myself getting very upset. I mean, I'm never
Yeah.
gonna play this game. I'll be honest.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
not my kind of game.
once-
But
Once you learn the strategies or you start figuring out some strategies, it's not too difficult. It's pretty easy to kind of survive. Although maybe newer zombie types, if they're introduced along the campaign, are going to change that. We will see. Right now, I just have 2 different types of zombies that I face off against.
and also, according to the BBC, 11 billion is the maximum amount, like support.
Okay, 11 billion?
The maximum
Yeah.
supportable amount of people. So they may have overshot that a bit, just slightly.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Just a teeny tiny amount, very
Yeah.
slight.
Smidgen.
Yeah.
But what does the BBC know? They're all stupid and British or whatever.
Yeah, right. Yeah, what do those scientists know anyway, right?
Yeah, right. I don't believe in
Uh-huh.
science. I believe in me. And I haven't seen
Yeah.
a billion people, so I don't even think a billion people even exist.
But yeah, no, they are billions. If you like RTS games, it's I think one of the best that's come out recently. I'm definitely interested in it. We'll see how that turns out as I play more of it. But I mean, for now, I'm giving it a cursory recommendation.
Okay, cool. So if you're into RTS, I'll be honest, I played a lot of StarCraft 2. I don't actually like the RTS genre very much.
Okay, yeah,
Like,
that's fair.
I think I've never played an RTS that I liked nearly as much as... I think StarCraft 2 kind of ruined RTS for me. I'm gonna be
Really? I actually really like StarCraft 2, so...
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
like, it ruined it in the sense that I liked that game so much that any game that
Okay.
isn't StarCraft 2 just kind of doesn't feel good to me.
That's fair.
Just you can't. I think maybe you just were so ingrained into StarCraft 2 at this
Yeah,
point.
like
you just can't.
I put in hundreds of hours into the online in that game, so like I just
Oh, really?
Yeah.
you notice
or-
back in high school, me and Chris basically spent a whole summer just playing that game until we got to Diamond, which is the highest rank at the time.
Yeah.
So
I remember
we
that.
basically just only played that
briefly did
game for like several months in a row. It was a really good time.
Yeah. I don't know, I've really enjoyed the Commander co-op mode of that
Yeah,
game.
I've heard you played that. I haven't actually. I mean, I've not touched that game because the fact that I'm bad at it now would just make me cry. So.
Yeah.
Can't go back. Can't
Yeah.
go back.
It's like I
Honestly,
used to
you're
be
still
good.
probably better than me. Like, I'm just not good at microing everything. I'm really good at the overall, I can figure out the picture and everything I want
the
to do. It's
macro
just the...
play.
Yeah. It's just that micro play is tough. That's
Yeah.
a whole nother level past me.
I still watch pro play sometimes, and people have gotten so good at the game. I don't even want to play anymore. Like, I don't even want to install
Yeah.
the game. I'll feel sick. I'll feel like, man. I probably couldn't even get to silver with the mechanics I had back in high school. Like, people have just
Yeah.
gotten so much better at the game now.
Yeah, it's this thing that people who've been playing it have just still been playing that.
Yeah, like it's. I mean, considering that game came out in what, like 2008 or something, like
It's a little bit older now.
it's like a decade old, almost like more or
Yeah.
more.
But even just the game normally plays so much faster than the original StarCraft 2.
Oh yeah, Brood War is a very slow game comparatively.
Yeah, well, the new StarCraft 2 is about twice as fast at the base level.
Yeah, it's really. I mean, it's faster than when I played, like quite a bit faster. Like people, you mine more minerals, you have more workers, like stuff like that, just to make the games even faster than before.
Yeah.
And I don't know, man. I don't like it. I hate change.
Yeah, I can understand that.
But Dan.
So Dan.
Yeah, but Dan.
Oh, am I getting singled out now?
Yeah, Dan. We're putting you on blast. Why'd you do it?
No, so what have I been up to? Okay, so I got like a couple things. I won't talk on games too much because basically I've just been playing Divinity 2.
Mm-hmm.
It's good. It's really good. You guys kind of touched on a lot of stuff. I don't think we need to talk about it more. It's good, and right now it's like half off.
Yep.
Because thanks, Larian.
Yeah.
The other thing I've been doing though, I've been going on a bit of an adventure. I watched a think piece show, or a show that Trey's excited to have me talk about. I haven't formed too many opinions yet though, but give it time. And of course, I am talking about. I did just finish Isekai Quartet. Is the show.
Yeah.
Did it grow on you? I remember you were being a little lukewarm on it when you first started.
So I think the big thing is I hadn't ever watched ReZero or Saga of Tanya the Evil.
Right.
And I tried to watch both of those. ReZero, I've gotten about 4 episodes in. I just haven't made time to watch it because the other show exists right now. Tanya the Evil, I tried to get into. I got about halfway through and it didn't stick with me.
Mm.
I don't know. Have either of you watched Saga of Tanya the Evil?
I have not. I have not watched. I barely even know what it's about. I think all I know about it is what you've told me. So
yeah, it's an isekai.
Yeah,
but it's one of the better ones because it doesn't make her. It makes her super OP, but it's weird.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, it didn't bring anything new, and just the characters just didn't do anything. But
sure.
Besides the point, Isekai Quartet was fun to watch. I'd say. If you like the shows that are in it, because it's a nice little gag show of what you want. It's like, oh, hey, what if like Kazuma and Ainzal Ghul had to hang out?
I mean, that could be funny.
Or better yet, let's put him in a beach episode. Do you like that?
I mean, at least the isekai they picked are like the good ones. Like, I am so fucking fed up with isekai.
Yeah, I think that's the thing is they picked. And if you think about it, they picked 4 deconstruction shows.
Yeah, like not all of them are. Yeah, none of them are just isekai. They're all like deconstructions of like the genre tropes. Like 2 of them are literal bad guys.
Yeah,
and Kazuma is just a creep, and Subaru, the mighty powerful Subaru, is also kind of a creep.
Yeah. But I will say it's fun. I think it's also I have a weakness for 10-minute, 12-minute shows.
Yeah,
if that makes sense. Like, just the fact you can binge the show in, like, a day. Oh, I have one other show I guess I can talk about, speaking of which, because I was going to say, I think that's kind of why I like Agretzko as much as I do, too.
Yeah.
Because you can watch the whole season of Agretzko in, 2 hours.
Right. I still need to, like, just do that. I keep forgetting to.
Yeah. Well, and especially, I was going to say, Season 2 of Agretzko's out. It's real good. If you liked Season 1, you'll love Season 2.
Mm-hmm.
It's real good. And, the last thing I'll say on Isekai Quartet, we're getting a Season 2, and I don't know what shows are going to be in it, but they got more students.
I really hope it's not Shield Hero.
I hope it's No Game, No Life.
Me too. I hope I don't like Shield Hero. I just don't.
Yep.
I just don't like it. I hate it. I hate Shield Hero.
Shield Hero and Slime Hero for me are
garbage.
Just so,
they're both terrible.
They're so just like bring nothing to the table, and it's like where we have this like cycle of we had these really good deconstructions between ReZero, Konosuba, and Overlord. But then they're like, but now let's bring it back to, like, the original formula, man.
Yeah, I mean, I've been wanting to have an isekai discussion for a bit. I don't know if I can, like, co-opt this a bit, but I don't know.
No, go for it. We can rant it. Because I know we nailed Shield Hero to the wall.
Because
we did.
Yes, because it's a fucking garbage show. It's really bad. I'm sorry. I don't care if the animation's good or the premise is good. It's not a good show. It's really bad. It's just terrible, and I don't know. I've been trying to find like good manga to read for a while, just because like I like looking at it for reference, and I just wanted to find a good story. And 80% of the ones on the front page of like my manga app are just isekai, and I'm like, okay, sure, well that genre can be done okay. And then I just start scrolling through it, and I realize I'm noticing a pattern. All of these isekai, bar one gimmick, are the exact goddamn same.
No, that's literally, like, do you remember when we had In Another World, but with my smartphone?
Yeah, or like, or Sorcerer's Grandchild, or I'm a Spider, so what? They're all the fucking, like, I was like having a conversation with Chris about this. If you took out the main premise, like if you took out the main character for any of those shows slash manga, they would be identical. The worlds they live in, even Goblin Slayer is the same way. The worlds they live in are literally the copy paste of the exact same world.
Yeah. No,
Like,
literally all Goblin Slayer's missing is the guy actually getting isekai'd, so they can just call it an actual fantasy. But,
exactly. Like if it was about a guy who got isekai'd and hated goblins, it would see the exact goddamn same. But like it's literally copy cutter. Like they live in an MMO world, basically like your basic bog standard MMO world with goblins and trolls and dragons and all that. And there's a demon king who's going to take over the world, and that's literally all of them. That's every single one. That's like, with very few exceptions, even good ones, like in Overlord, the Demon Lord is the main character, so you're just kind of like, okay, sure.
Yeah, you're watching the Demon Lord take over the world.
Yeah,
and then Konosuba has a Demon Lord, but half of the joke is that they just don't do anything. About it.
Yeah, the demons are all goofy losers, which is like...
and also, like, Cosmo doesn't give a shit about actually killing the Demon Lord. He's just like, let's go make money. He just
wants to live and make money. And then, like, I think the only one that has an interesting world, and this is the funniest thing, is because this one's trying to be a video game, is ReZero. Because, like, the Demon King is a witch, essentially, and there's actually interesting things happening with that. So, weirdly enough, the one that's the most video game-like, because the main character literally has a save system, is the most original in terms of world. But other than that, they're all the same. Even the good ones, they're just the fucking same. And I'm so just done with that genre.
No, I don't know if I mentioned this to you before, Trey, but have you heard? I think it's Kadokawa puts on a light novel writing contest. They had to ban isekai entries because they were just getting too many because they're so easy to make.
I'm convinced. I am 100% convinced isekai, like not the isekai the idea of being transported to another world, because that's a really old concept. Like, you can do a lot with that.
Near and there, whatever.
That's an isekai. There's a lot. There's tons. Fucking Inuyasha's an isekai. Like, there's a lot you can do with that. But like the RPG light isekai, those ones are like, I think they're the death of creativity. Like, it's literally just becomes like the main, like, the author comes up with one gimmick, and then they write the bog standard world, and then it just becomes a diary of them making their characters overpowered. That's it. That's all of them. Every single one.
That's it.
Like, just about. Like, Slime Hero's the same way. It's like, man, this is super interesting. He, like, is a really losery little slime. Let's see how this turns out. Like, 10 chapters later, he's literally the strongest guy in the universe. No one can touch him. Shield Hero's the same way, where it's just like, oh, everyone hates him because the Shield Hero is the worst guy. And then, like, 20 chapters later, he's just one-shotting dragons, and it's like, okay, sure, why not? Oh, there's a majority female cast with a male lead. Weird how that keeps happening. Everyone keeps complimenting them. Yeah, everyone keeps every single person who runs into the main character is like, man, that main character is super strong, but he has a heart of gold.
Thank God he has no other defining characteristics.
Yeah, thank God that he literally has one defining characteristic, and it's usually the one thing, or he finds a way to break the game he's in, essentially. Because the games they're in are poorly made, essentially. Like, they have, like, one hack skill they either start with or find, and then that just becomes, like, the defining trait about their character. Because, like, I recently finished I'm a Spider, So What? And that one started out interesting just because, like, there's not a whole lot of characters. It's literally just the main character girl who's a spider and just kind of lives in a cave for a lot of it. And it's like, okay, sure, I guess. Like, there's something here. And then like it just turns into like, oh, she found a hack skill and then she's one-shotting dragons. Okay, sure, why not?
Yeah.
Oh, and also there's a Demon King. It just kind of shows up out of nowhere and it's like, oh yeah, Demon King's gonna invade in like a year. Oh, great.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's also just kind of like, I mean, it's why I can't keep up with seasonal shows in either, even American television, or I can't keep up with American television because I don't have cable. Mm-hmm. But just like the seasonal comedies that come through, or just any, like, oh, we're going to get this season, or my favorite is when American TV or just TV in general, will pitch it as a limited 12 episode event.
Yeah.
That's a season. But it's also like season more so with seasonal anime, like if you consider that 90% of this medium is garbage. I'm just like, man, I don't have the energy to sift through for a good one anymore.
Yeah, well, so here's the main thing. I wanted to pose a question. Do you think that RPGs as a whole are ruining fiction? Or, like, are damaging fiction, I should say? Like, damaging the creative space? And I'm not just talking Japanese. I'm talking, like, D&D and, like, RPGs in general. Because, like, I've been having the same problem with fantasy books in, like, a similar vein where, like... Because, like, fantasy books are, like, my favorite genre of book. I like reading them a lot. I like seeing these fantastic worlds and, like, the adventures of these characters and kingdoms and all that. And recently, I've been having a really hard time because every goddamn book I read is just, like, basically this man made his D&D character and he just put him in... He just made a book about them. That's just been kind of, like, the major trend recently.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like the isekai thing where it's just like it's not really creative, it's just kind of they made a story with their RPG character. That's why I was just curious, like, am I crazy? Like,
yeah, I can talk a bit, and then Tyler, feel free to chime in too, because
sure.
I think Trey and I have maybe I don't know if we've talked about this before, but I can say, like, the example of just RPGs killing creativity. That was, again, I think we even recorded it. That was the biggest thing I hated with Goblin Slayer. It was just lazy how his side characters were Dwarven Knight.
Yeah.
Half-elf archer. I'm like, that's stupid. It's like, oh no, it's supposed to show that he doesn't care about them. It's like, no, that's stupid. That's lazy.
It's lazy.
It shows the writer didn't give a shit to name his characters. But what I kind of wish is that we could get away from... It's basically what it all kind of comes back to is Tolkien fantasy.
Yeah, I think Tolkien fantasy it should be, like... People should try not to make things in a Tolkien-esque world. I think we need to stop doing that.
Yeah, and I'll say some got away from it. So the best example I can kind of think is you can use the Tolkien races just because at this point dwarves, elves are a good template. Halfling, everything like that. But do something different with them. The example I can think that comes to mind is in Dragon Age Origin, the elves were slaves.
Yeah, that was interesting. I mean, in games, I can get it just because it's name recognition. I don't know. My favorite fantasies over the last few years have had none of those. I just think that if you're like in a game, like having the recognition, like, oh, that's an elf, that's a dwarf, that's a dragon, like that. If you're making a game and you wanna like entice people, that makes sense. But if you're a fantasy writer and writing is your job, I feel like it's kind of, I don't know. I feel like the onus is on you to like make your world more interesting than that. And maybe I'm asking too much, but like, it just feels really lazy to me. Then that like when people just kind of like shoehorn their D&D like bog standard fantasy lands into a story, and like they're not saying anything new. They're just like, this is my super awesome character who's running around and he's super smooth talking lady killer guy just running around being a thief or whatever. And it's just, I don't know.
It's a Mary Sue thing, and you kind of it's like you kind of were saying earlier. Now I don't know, Tyler, what do you kind of think? I've kind of said, but
well, I think the main thing is that the main characters, I think there is this attachment where you want to create your character in a story, perhaps, or at least that's what it seems like, and you have a lot of attachment to them, and in that case, you want them to be this kind of godlike character.
Sure.
But at the same time, that doesn't make for compelling story.
It doesn't. Like, if your character has no
flaw.
conflict, and even if it does have conflict, but the place you put them in is like just really uninteresting, like that kills a lot of my interest. Like, I'm reading Oh, sorry.
Yeah. No, I was gonna say, it's just, again, it's like you were saying, do something creative with your world, or honestly, the big one for me is whenever they just explain like, oh, magic exists through like ether or something. It's like everybody's done that.
Everybody's done that. It's really, I think a good person to look towards if you're trying to like find like original ideas is Brandon Sanderson. Like, I have some problems with his writing. I think he can be a little juvenile in it, like sometimes with his prose and stuff. But like his magic systems are so out there and so interesting. Like his world building is incredible and immaculate. it's just like you never forget when you read a book from him. Or like Robert Jordan, the Wheel of Time series is very flawed, but man, one thing I won't complain about is it being like a lot of other things, because it's not. I think the things that stick with you are original stuff, even if it's not like done flawlessly. If it's original enough, or like it has enough new ideas, it'll stick with you, I think. Because like all these isekai and all these art and these RPG lights are like we watched Critical Role and we want to make that story, but like, write it down.
Okay, yeah, there's actually I don't know, to kind of side note, just because you brought up the Critical Role, did you see there was a post that gained a lot of traction, and Matt Mercer actually kind of talked about it.
Yeah, I heard about this. Yeah,
everybody playing D&D now wants to play Critical Role D&D.
Yep.
Where it's just stuff like where they get super attached to their characters, and at level 2 and 3 they'll be like, oh well, my character died, what do we do about resurrection? And it's like, you're level 2, you're dead.
Like, you have to remember, you're not here to please an audience, you're here to play Dungeons and Dragons. Like,
well, I mean, even Matt has let his characters at lower levels eat shit, and just like stay dead. And that's the thing, if you're level 5, you're not reviving. And also, if you're not these grand adventurers,
and like not every DM has to be Matt Mercer. You don't have to like act just like I've seen so many ones where like you're just trying so hard to be Matt Mercer, and it's like, I don't think he wants that either. He just like
he kind of talked on the post. He's like, I'm very kind of sad people are just like not playing. It's the D&D you're supposed to play your way. Yeah,
like they're just aping him, and I think that's. And again, it's kind of like the death of creativity a bit, where it's just like, and if it's fun and your group's enjoying it, I think that's 100% okay. Like, I think that's cool. I just think you shouldn't try and market that. Like, don't try and make money off that, or don't try and force yourself to do that. Like, there's lessons to be learned from Mercer, but I don't think being him or being the Critical Role cast is smart or feasible. Like, you're not going to be. Most people aren't going to be as charismatic as these literal actors. Like,
yeah. And I guess just to kind of tie it back, it just brings like, you can be, I guess it kind of ties back even to what we were saying with Tolkien fantasy. You can be inspired by these things, but do something with the things you're given. Like, you can use the races, you can use the templates, is how I kind of see it.
Find a new angle, or even I personally love it when you just scrap it all of it together. Like, maybe you take some names or something, but like I think if you can definitely use the template, like it's but as long as you're not just like retelling a story that's already been told. But especially, I think I don't think it's that hard to make an original concept, like a sort of original world, even if it's like similar to other ones. Like, they don't have to be elves and dwarves; they can be other things. Like, you can like just make up a race. It's not hard.
Yeah, the problem is then those races are just so set in stone. But
I mean, I think those fantasies can open the door. I don't think those should be like your groundwork, though. Like. Unless you have like something new to say there, where like say like the Overlords, where it's like we're gonna like take you in a whole new direction, or like we're gonna flip the script, or like the Konosubas, where it's like this is so fucking nutso crazy. It wouldn't even matter if we were in a standard fantasy world.
Yeah. No, like I said, there's a lot to unpack. I don't think it's the death of it. I think the thing is people know they can just keep making money.
Yeah, I think it's easy. I think that's it's like popcorn. It's like your serialized like popcorn fantasies essentially. And I don't know, maybe I've just read too much, like I've just seen too much of it at this point. I'm really exhausted by it. I literally, even if an isekai sounds interesting, I don't touch it much anymore, just because I don't want to like. I have a feeling I know where it's gonna go. They all end up the same way.
Yeah, no, that's 100% it. They've really got to do something. I mean, I haven't even watched the last 2 seasons of Overlord because I got what I needed out of season 1, and I was like, it's just gonna be. Let's keep watching him be super strong. I might finish ReZero. I'm probably gonna finish ReZero.
I think ReZero is. I think ReZero is like the isekai. If you're gonna watch any isekai, I think that one should be the one you watch, just because like.
ReZero, at least the character has flaws and
like Subaru.
Yeah, he's not just
Subaru is not a character you want to root for a lot of the time. And it gets annoying after a while, but like when he actually has defined growth, you feel it. Like you start when you actually start rooting for him, you're like, man, I really want him to succeed now.
Yeah.
If for no other reason, I want him to succeed so Rem can be happy. But yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to like co-opt your conversation. I had to get that off my chest.
Yeah, no,
I'm really frustrated with the manga landscape right now because like I really enjoy that medium, and I just think it's being flooded with garbage right now. Like just tons of like a wall of garbage. Like I
felt the same way. Yeah, comedy anime, I feel the same way. There's very few comedies worth watching.
I would feel really bad for anybody who wanted to get into manga right now. Like I feel like. And maybe this is just my nostalgia talking, like, maybe manga is the best it's ever been, but, like, I don't know, when I first started reading, I felt there was a lot of really cool, interesting, original stuff out there to, like, sink my teeth into.
Probably a lot of garbage, but it got pushed down more. Like, there's been garbage all the time.
There's still new, interesting things coming out. It's just hard to find through all, like, the sea of trash.
Well, I mean, you can say the same for anything. Comic books, it's the exact same.
Yeah. I think that might be the real issue, is that there's just so much stuff coming out these days. It's kind of hard to find the good shit.
Yeah. But anyway, if we want to touch real quick on the last thing, which is supposedly good, I gotta give it more time. For anybody who didn't get the memo, Neon Genesis Evangelion is on Netflix now.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Which means I, Daniel Earl, am watching Neon Genesis Evangelion for the first time ever.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I will say it looks goddamn gorgeous.
Yeah, it looks nice.
Yeah, I mean, again, I watched it at like 140p or some shit back in high school, or so. Like back in AnimeFreak.tv or something.
Yeah.
So seeing it like in HD is just giving me all sorts of nostalgias.
Well, I guess I'll ask you the question, Trey. I know you watched it sub. How do you feel about the fact they completely redubbed the show? Because I'm watching it dubbed.
I don't care, honestly. The dub is because I watched it sub, but I've seen bits of it dubbed. I think the dub was very much a 90s anime, if that makes sense. Like it's a 90s dub.
Yeah.
Where it's just like it's serviceable, but it's not great. Whereas I haven't listened to it dubbed in this version either, so maybe it's bad now, but I can't imagine it's worse, I'll be honest. Like
it's still, I don't know if they did it intentionally. It still feels very kind of 90s dub almost. I think that's just because of the script they're given.
And I think the major benefit to this is that there was a lot of localization errors in the original because it was the 90s and localization teams were not as good, right? So there was a lot of context you just lost, I think, when they tried to localize it for English.
Yeah. I know they kept the lines right in the elevator scene. That's all I know.
Yeah, did you watch that Gaga video?
No, I just know the elevator scene meme.
Oh yeah. I think that I honestly think it's probably for the best, like just that you get like actual context for things now, like or like better context just because the translation's better.
I don't know. There's one thing I don't have context on still.
There's probably lots of things. There's probably lots of things.
I'm only about 4 episodes in. Let me leave with that. As of this recording, I'm only about 4 episodes in. I get what they're going for a lot of the time with just like Shinji getting thrown into this.
Sure.
I just don't care about any of these characters yet. Like,
oh yeah, I mean the characters aren't very likable on purpose. Like they're very flawed,
not even likable. They haven't done anything. Like so far, all I know about Shinji is that his dad is this asshole who made this robot program,
right?
And just decided to throw his son in a robot. And Shinji just lets people do whatever.
Yeah, because Shinji's a pushover.
Yeah, and that's it. Like
yeah. And that's definitely something you'll get more as you go. And
also, why is there a penguin?
That very important knowledge. It's very important to the overarching story.
Yeah, what's the symbolism, Trey? What's the symbolism of the penguin?
It's a penguin. I don't know. It's cute. I don't know. It's actually the 13th angel. I don't know.
There was 12. Thanks for the spoiler.
I mean,
they figured it.
I mean, in Code Geass, what was the point of Cheese Coon, right? So
Yeah, no, that's the
It's
thing.
it's just a little mascot character. I don't know. It's a penguin.
Yeah, it's anime. It was a
Yeah.
90s anime.
It
They
is.
needed an animal.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it just kind of shows
One thing I will say is that and this you might start feeling this at some point, is that a lot of the character tropes in this have been done a lot since
So
it.
that's
Like,
the thing. I know they defined a lot of these character
yeah,
tropes. So
like even Eva has been aped so many times, like so many times since it came out. So like, if a character seems like uninspired or unoriginal, it might be because that was like the original like of that character trope. So like,
yeah,
and
I'm watching it and completely understanding that. It's just like, again, it's
but like it's definitely something where like characters start to become more defined as you watch. It's very much that like Shinji and Kodo and all of them are very like two-dimensional at first. But like as you start understanding like the first impact and all that stuff, it gets really heavy at points with like what their characters have been through and like why it is they are the way they are. I think Ava does one thing. It does one thing very, very well, or two things very well. The mech and monster design is really cool. I always like it when things like mix like biblical things into their into any religion, not just biblical, when they mix religious iconography into their designs. I really enjoy that. I think it looks really great aesthetically.
So you like large cross-shaped explosions is what you're saying.
Large cross-shaped explosions. Yeah, but like it's all over the place in Ava. But like I think that's really cool. Second thing is it's really good at making you feel bad for their characters eventually, but like still hating them anyway.
Yeah. Like I said, I'll have to give it time. I can't pass judgment. I'll say if I kind of gave it the 3-episode test, it did pass it just from getting 3 episodes in. It does enough to like sink interest.
It's very interesting, right? Like it's you're just like kind of curious as to what's happening because they don't explain a ton in the first episodes.
What I'm more curious about is, again, why do any of these people matter?
And it gets very clear, especially with the movies. They do explain it somewhat, and I would also recommend the last 2 episodes are very different. You'll notice just because of the budget constraints. I would still watch them, even if like you might get a little bored watching them, just because like they reuse a lot of scenes, and it's very different conceptually than the rest of the series. But I would still watch them. I think they're important for understanding like the end of Ava makes a lot more sense when you actually watch those last 2 episodes. To me personally, at least. Yeah,
like I said, I'm still giving it time. I'm gonna finish it just because I feel like I need to at this point.
Yeah.
And also like I'm gonna see. This might be a case of where I have to like put on my reminders that this was a classic. I think, but I think I get the feeling I'm gonna finish it and just be like, I don't get why this is everybody's top favorite anime of all time.
Yeah, and I think one thing I do think it'll probably, it'll leave an impression on you, whether or not you like it. And I'm not convinced you will. I don't think you'll enjoy it. I don't know if you'll think your time was well spent by the end of this, but.
I mean, I'll have to see. I might try watching a sub too, because the dub the dialogue in the dub feels clunky. I mean, but I think it's just because of how it is in the sub.
The sub is, I think, the way to go personally.
Well, I think it's just because of how they like time the lines, and it's that very 90s anime feel that I can't get over, which is where everybody's line, like dialogue, has 2 seconds between it.
Yeah, and I also don't think this is a very good background show. Like, this is a show you have to like be paying attention to. I think just because like I don't know, like at least for me personally, I feel like you'd like just if you're doing other things, it might get a little little busy. Like, maybe you can do it. It's just me personally.
I'll see.
But you've watched Ava, right, Tyler? Like.
Not in its entirety. No,
okay,
I've seen most of it. I didn't like it really.
Oh yeah, it's contentious, and I'm not gonna blame anybody for not liking it. I really enjoy it, but I'm also a fucking weirdo. So
yeah, I've also never been huge on mecha anime.
Fair enough.
Yeah, there's a handful that get my attention, but for the most part, it has to be really good for me to like it.
I would love to hear your opinions once you finish, and like since we had that big discussion about Gridman, because there's a lot of Ava and Gridman.
I see that already.
A lot of Ava and Gridman.
Yeah, 4 episodes in, I see that already, and it kind of seems what I'm hoping is Gridman. it seems like Gridman picked a lot of the better elements, and it was the elements I liked in Gridman, so I think I'll like them in Ava too.
Yeah, and they definitely go further in Ava than they do in Gridman. I think Gridman...
Oh, for sure.
I think Gridman remembers it's also an action show, whereas I think Ava can forget it at points.
Yeah, well, and I think Gridman also suffers from seasonal syndrome, where they're like, oh, we have 12 episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how much I'd really call Gridman an action show. I mean, I guess it technically does.
I mean, there's a lot of action in it.
There's a lot of action. Yeah, it's got
I think it's definitely like a think piece action show, but it has enough action where like I think you can't divorce that from the narrative. Like
Granted,
whereas like Ava, there'll be there's a lot of episodes where there's just like them talking sometimes, and that's just kind of
that's true.
Or them not talking in an elevator.
Yeah. For a long time. Or an escalator.
Granted, in an old anime, I think Mushishi, was classified as an action before, and I don't understand that whatsoever.
That I don't get. Like...
Because that is not an action show.
That's not true.
I don't even know what that is.
It's an art piece.
Yeah, it's a definite art piece. Mushishi's really good. It's very, very good.
I really love Mushishi, but it is not an action show.
Not at all. Yeah, we're hitting that time. So if we wanna start wrapping it up.
Yeah, we'll wrap it up. We got our assignments. I'll keep watching Ava and probably ReZero.
Yeah, I just want to hear your opinions of it, even if you don't like it, because like Ava is a special thing for me, but I also think that people who criticize it are valid. I think it's a very valid. It's not above criticism just because it was inspirational for a lot of things.
Yeah. I mean, I'll see. Again, I don't think I'm going to not like it. I think I'll just be another one of, it's fine. I don't know why it's at everybody's top 5.
Sure.
Actually, I think I can even understand it.
So, as always, this is another Low Effort podcast.
Forever and always.
Forever and always. 100 years.
See ya, dumpster goblins.